Wheels! Now, they might all be round, but they are not created equally, especially from the factory, which is why today we're looking at some of the best and the worst OEM wheels in history. That means we're not including any aftermarket stuff. Nope, there are no HREs, no TE37s. Nope, just straight up factory wheels. Like, subscribe, and let's go. Starting off with an absolute banger, and one that if you do, well, you might want to go see a doctor, because this STI has one of the most iconic wheels ever. The 17-inch Gold BBS wheels from the Subaru 22B STI. This color combo of the World Rally Blue and the golden shoes is a hallmark of rally history. And though it might be weird on other cars, there is no better factory paint combo than this. And yes, these gorgeous BBSs are rally wheels, folks. Not the same design as a race car, but they are just as tough and, of course, sporting that unmissable color. I don't know, the Gold BBS thing might be a millennial Gen Z thing, and boomers, you can probably look at them and think that they're just straight up hideous, but that is not going to change my mind, and I'm sure it won't change yours either. Okay, so now for our first worst wheel, and you know that we are just going to have to get this out of our way. So it is the Tesla Aero Covers. Yeah, I know Tesla bros. They are functional and get you a couple more extra miles of efficiency on your way to Whole Foods or whole paycheck. But you got to be real with me right now, because these wheels look like they were blown up manually like a balloon. They kind of suit the car's aesthetics, but they just give so much more frontal mass to the car visually that I just can't put it into any other category than worst. In fact, the Aero Covers are just that, covers. They come off and they actually reveal a cool wheel underneath. So while it is technically just a piece of plastic, it's a factory option and it looks, well, not ideal. Oh yes, now these might be the most S-tier wheels in existence, the Mercedes-Benz Monoblocks. These wheels are not complicated, not anything fancy, but when they find themselves under an 80s Benz, they look like a bazillion bucks. Pure brutalist genius. The Monoblocks came factory on cars like the amazing 500e sedan, and they just fit the boxy lines of the car so well, while also giving just enough contrast to make them stand out. And one of the biggest reasons as to why these things are so good is that you can put them on most 80s, 90s, and early 2000 Benzes, and they completely elevate the look no matter the body design. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. And on to the next. Now, up next is the Lexus SC430s wheel, and you probably forgot that this car even exists. Why? Well, because it's an ugly car with ugly wheels. Now, I love Lexus, and I especially love their older models. However, the combination of the SC430's weird convertible styling and bulbous rear end, and most importantly, those wheels, they look like a crooked clock with some random holes in them, and I just can't look at them for long, to be very honest. If I had to say one sort of positive thing, it's that it kind of suits the car, because the styling of the rest of the SC430 is just funky. Next, please. Okay, this next one might be a little selfish on me, because I think the M4 GTS's star spoke orange wheels are freaking awesome. Now, orange is usually a very polarizing color on cars, and especially on wheels, but the acid orange that hides beneath and in between the crevices of those gorgeous BMW spokes just works. And the color matched accents on the rest of the car just pull it all together in a way that I didn't expect to like, but I genuinely do. Now, would this car look good with just a regular non-orange set of those star spoke wheels from a regular M4 or M3? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's hard to make this gen of M4 look bad, but the fact that these were a factory option makes me happy, and that's why they're on the best side of the list. All right, another worst pick, and this time it's the Genesis GV70's wheels. And okay, these wheels from a basic design standpoint aren't that terrible. 5 spokes are fine, and I actually like the way that they kind of look like a propeller that's has that tilted design, but there is one big reason why these are on the wrong side of this list. Why the hell do these things have Spider-Man themed wheels? I mean, look closely, seriously, the texture is pure Tobey Maguire up in here, and it just looks weird, man. And the texture on the wheels doesn't even match the texture on the grille or vents up there. It's just a complete miss for me, folks. Now, you might be saying, Brad, you kind of went crazy with those Monoblocks and M4 orange wheels, but here's one that everyone can get behind. The Ferrari F40, those iconic center lock 5-spoke star wheels. They look like racing wheels because, well, they actually are. And the beating pattern just adds that touch of flair to make them absolutely pop. They just suit that car so damn well. And those straight lines that match the wedge front and the sharp angles on the back half of the car, yay. If you've ever seen a modern Ferrari and wondered if they lost their styling touch, well, here is the proof. Yes, these wheels and this car they're just the best. Okay, up next, we've got the SN95 Gen Mustang and the Tribar wheels. And listen up, a lot of enthusiasts hate 3-spoke wheels, and I disagree. I think they look great on a lot of older Japanese stuff, but I will concede when I recognize something to be true, and the fact is that these Tribar Mustang wheels, they are not good. No. They may be a good representation of the time when American cars were bubbly and kind of voluptuous around the edges, if you know what I mean. But when was the last time you heard someone say that the American cars looked the best in the 90s? My point exactly. They just don't look like muscle car wheels in factory form, and the fitment, it just looks so wonky. Sorry, Tribar. You were the worst. Up next is a really underrated pick and a hill that I will die on, the Alpina turbine wheels. Now, Alpina, if you didn't know, is one of those companies that takes existing vehicles and upgrades them to an even higher standard. Think of it as like an Alpine, you hit the summit, and then Alpina is even above that. But the biggest difference is that instead of making them super high performance, they make these BMWs into gorgeous, tasteful, luxury-oriented performance cars. And the iconic Alpina turbines are some of the most timeless wheels in existence. They have a million spokes, all solid colored, and have that much needed little pop of color from the Alpina crest badge in the center. And I would not want to be the guy that cleans these. Because fun fact, at least on the Alpina B6 wheels, it might be others as well, the valve stem to fill up the tires with air is hidden inside one of the spokes to complete that clean look. So freaking sexy. On to the next. Okay, up next. Good lord, this is rough. Both of these wheels came on the GMC Envoy XL. The ones on the car in the photo are from the 2004, and the picture of the wheel alone is from 2003, and I almost don't have any words for this. The first wheels have these different size spokes that are like an optical illusion and not the fun kind. Even the spokes that are the same size look like they're different sizes somehow. And the 2003 wheels, well, I mean, what the hell? They look like a bad SUV wheel from GTA 5. These wheels yes, the Porsche Fuchs wheels. Other than the Benz Monoblocks or the Subaru BBSs, these might be the most recognizable wheels ever. The Fuchs style wheels were always a factory option on the 911 for a huge portion of its life, but they look good on basically every old two-door Porsche. Heck, even my Safari 911, guess what I'm running? Fuchs. The 5-spoke design, the Porsche crest, the contrasting lip color, everything, it just works. So if you're looking at an older Porsche, well, of course, get what you want, but if it were me, I would have these babies. All right, it's time for the Saturn Ions factory wheels. Now, Saturn, thankfully, is a defunct company, and of course, this is on the wrong side of the list. So I guess I can be as mean as I want. Everyone knows that Saturn had its challenges with design, so I'm not gonna go into this all day long, but one thing I will roast are the wheels on the Saturn Ion. I mean, folks, there are just too many shapes going on for my brain to actually process this thing. We've got a circle in the middle, these weird half moons on the sides, and some skinny rectangles shooting out as well. And on top of that, they're finished in this tacky looking chrome alloy color that just does not work for me. Yes sir, it is time for some American muscle. These are the 10-spoke aluminum mag wheels on the first gen Shelby GT5 Hun. Now, like the Saturn wheels, it appears that a lot is going on, but on these wheels, it looks so good. It suits the brolic figure of the Shelby perfectly, and they look like an old-timey piece of military equipment. And the way those meaty rubbers sit on it just looks absolutely spectacular. You may not like them, but I think any aftermarket wheels would look worse than these on the Shelby. Simply badass. Let's go on to the next. All right, up next, well, you know the drill now. It is a bad one. This is one that's really bad. And these are the wire wheels on the mid-1980s Oldsmobile Cutlass. These wire wheels were not only a factory option, but they weren't even real wire wheels. They were completely fake to give the illusion of a wire design. The car itself isn't very pretty either, which doesn't help. But I have proof that this car can look good with different wheels. Enter the Hurst Olds. This was a special edition of the Cutlass and had more classic muscle car mag style wheels, and it made it look so much more cohesive. All right, up next, we've got the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am and its gorgeous honeycomb wheels. I could seriously look at these things for hours, man. I mean, I think that bees might actually land on them. And the color finish, the honeycomb shapes that fray out to the edges, and how it ties together with the design of the already badass Trans Am makes these wheels some of the best in history. Now, a lot of you might have thought I was gonna say the Snowflake Trans Am wheels, which are also gorgeous with their two-tone color and high number of spokes, but there's just something about those honeycombs that are so unique and more like a work of art than the snowflakes. Ah yes, it's only fitting after the Trans Am that we feature another Pontiac product, the early 90s Grand Am. But unfortunately, these are some of the worst wheels ever. The Grand Am's wheels, as much as people hate on the soft, bubbly 90s styling, I think this car would have benefited from something more 90s and less 80s. If you know what I mean. It's another one of those cases where these factory wheels look like cheap aftermarket wheels that someone installed in 1999. So I guess it's kind of ahead of its time, maybe? That's all I have to say about that. Now we are on to supercars like the McLaren Speedtail's wheels, and truthfully, this is only a half win for the Speedtail because the rear wheels aren't anything special. But the fronts, Jesus Christ, those are incredible. It suits the sleek shape of the car so well, and because this car is specifically designed for high-speed aerodynamics, the turbofan looking covers are there for slick airflow purposes. And even the funky little cutout on the front covers works for me, but I do wish that all four wheels had those gorgeous covers, but still, the front wheels are enough to qualify this overall stunning car on this list. Up next is a bad one, folks, the Z24 Cavaliers wheels. Once again, we've got too many things going on and none of them match the styling of the rest of the car. And like a lot of the other worst picks on this list, the wheels ruin what could be a decently cool car. And even though it looks like someone spent a lot of time coming up with the wild shapes for these rims, they still feel like an afterthought. Somehow. Also, P.S. don't get a convertible Cavalier. Okay, folks, I got a little bit of a bonus round for you. There are some really ugly wheels out there, but some of them actually fit their car well and make them cool. And this next section is dedicated to those OEM wheels that otherwise would look terrible, but suit their car very well. First up, the Volkswagen Mark V GTI. Now, looking at these wheels by themselves, they look super weird. The dark background with the super shiny chrome finish looks kind of off, but couple it with the rounded GTI, and to be honest, it looks cohesive. If you disagree, well, don't agree with me. And next, we got the Mark IV Supra. I was actually tempted to put this in the worst wheels list, but after staring at it for a while, like a day, I realized that the soft bubbly shape of the wheels matched the curvaceous styling of the Supra extremely well. Now, do most Mark IV Supras still have their OEM wheels? Probably not, but I think they are still a solid factory wheel overall. Let me know what you think. Bet you didn't see this one coming. Now, the early 90s Nissan Pathfinder's triangle rims. These wheels on their own and on another car would look a bit funky, but on this early Pathfinder, they look super retro and cool to me, almost like the inside of a mechanical lock or something, and it complements the hard, rugged, and sharp lines of the Nissan super well, in my opinion. Then you have the Subaru XT. You might have not known this car existed, but hey, here it is, and look at its wheels. WTF, right? Well, yeah, they are objectively ugly. However, this car was super technologically advanced for the time and focused heavily on aerodynamics, which makes sense when you realize that these wheels were designed to represent graph paper. Yeah, and that's why I actually think the XT wheels work for the car. The background story, the flush aerodynamic design, and the graph paper touch just kind of makes sense. What do you think? And there you go, some of the best and worst wheels of all time. Which ones did we miss? Because I know you guys know some that are ideal or not ideal. Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the vid, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out these ideal vids over here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. We'll see you next week, and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.